So imagine for a moment that on the table on your right hand side is a rural area in Kern County such as Taft. And then on your left you have Bakersfield, which is Kern County's hub. Resources for daily living, medical services, food, shopping, and just necessary needs of daily living are found in Bakersfield. So if you had to on a daily basis utilize the bus, how would that go? Where does the money come from, and who decides what sorts of transportation will be taking you from your rural location to Bakersfield? My research question looked into the STAA, which is the Surface Transportation Act, which is a federal funding program, and how it affects our rural transportation services in California. My research question was, does STAA Section F311F, in conjunction with regional transportation funding, a portion of that program, adequately support a viable public transportation that is accessible, efficient, and supportive of livable rural communities in Kern County? During my research this semester for this policy program, I learned that the transportation funding is not easy to follow. And I'll talk about that in a minute when I get into my interviews that I did with state and local regional planners. However, the need that my literature review revealed in viable transportation for rural areas like in Kern County, Lamont, Taft, Arvin, Wasco is a huge necessity in getting people out of poverty and into the working environment, towards better education, and again, just accessing daily needs such as medical services, grocery shopping, and even child care. The literature also points to the complexity of policy and funding when it comes to transportation. In California, transportation is issued by a multitude of arenas. So the STAA and the RTAP funding, which is regional transportation, it's a block grant program, isn't the only portion of funding that goes into our regional transportation system. It really comes down to how local planners want to use that money and then what transportation needs are identified. So during my interviews in my secondary data collection process, I learned that presently California is focusing greatly on the environmental impacts of transportation. So what that means is that they receive these funds from the Regional Transportation Block Grant Program. They write their plans to meet various different state requirements. And right now we are focused on the efficiency of our busing system, what the air quality is, so the emissions of buses. They're putting a lot of our money into upgrading into more fuel efficient public transportation systems, road safety, and road expansion. Not a lot of money is directly being spent to move people from the rural areas into Kern County. My research also revealed that 62% of families who are living in rural communities and have jobs are experiencing a reverse commute. This means that they live in the rural area because of cheap housing, but then because of employment need, they're having to get into Bakersfield, which is Kern County's town center. The regional transportation planner that I talked to at the local level, as well as the state planner, I was actually the one of the board of directors for the State Planning Commission, indicated that the shift towards the environmental impacts happened in 2007, and that's been the main focus. However, public transportation is needed, better public transportation. So my recommendations and what was reflected in my paper is that an overall shift in attitude is needed, as well as education as to how important public transportation is to uplifting rural poverty and helping with the problems of social mobility.